Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be making some brunch and we'll be making some empanadas de queso, which are like the cheese pies with some salsa. We're going to be using a green salsa with tomatillos and jalapenos, and then we'll be making a little bit of frijoles on the side. Alright guys, so now we're going to make the masa. So I am very sorry because I really don't use measurements, so this might be a little bit difficult for some. I usually go by the feeling when I'm making masa. I don't know, some people might be like that, some people might not. I'm very sorry. Good luck. So I pour some of my maize in it, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna do very non-traditional stuff. My mom definitely didn't raise me like this, and she definitely slapped me if she probably saw this. But I like to season my masa. So garlic powder, paprika, and it has like a little bit of a color change. It smells very good, very, very good. And then we'll give this a little bit of a shake. So for the masa, we'll be using a little bit of water. And so I highly recommend that you take the water and you can warm it up or put it in a microwave. Just make the water a little bit warm. It makes it significantly easier whenever we're going to be mixing the masa. And then we'll use just a little bit of olive oil into it. Usually I like to use like ghee or like lard or like tallow or something else. But we don't have that, so today we're just using olive oil. We're substituting it. So I'll pour in my water. And notice I'm not pouring all of my water in all at once. I'm pouring in a little bit at a time. And now we're starting to get a little bit of the mixing process, a little bit of color change. It's going to feel like Play-Doh eventually. Notice I'm usually just folding in the dough in on itself as we continuously go through it. You'll see some of it breaking apart as we keep mixing it. That's a good sign that we're still going to need some more water. So when you look at the masa when it's pretty much done, what we have almost like a Play-Doh-like feeling, like when we're making it. When you're a kid, it usually feels like Play-Doh. One good sign that you want to know that the masa is done is you can take your thumb and you can press it into it, and as long as there's no masa that sticks back to your finger, it's pretty much good. So I have a little bit on here, so I'm just going to add a tad bit more oil into it, just a tad bit. So we like to use like some sort of like skillet. We usually just call it comal. So I'll be using this comal. I'll put it on medium heat. Depending on the comal that you have or the skillet that you have, the heat is going to be really important on just how long it's going to take for the cook time for the empanadas. Traditionally, the empanadas are deep fried. I'm not trying to deep fry them. I wanted to be a little bit healthier with this option today. So instead, we're going to cook it on the comal. All right, guys. So what I have here is a tortilla press. And so don't worry, for those of you that don't have a tortilla press, I got a solution for you guys too. So I just want to say that I'm putting down this piece of plastic, that way it doesn't stick to the tortilla press. It's just really easy to take it off and go put it onto the comal. The first thing we'll be doing is I'll be pinching off a little piece of my masa. I'll be putting it onto the center one, the one that has to stay still and doesn't have to move. And I'll smash it down. It comes back up. We have like a nice little flat piece of masa. Smells so good right now, by the way. And I'll be taking a little bit of queso oaxaqueño. Pretty good. For those that haven't had queso oaxaqueño, the flavor is almost like mozzarella. If you guys had string cheese when you were little, or we still do now when we still eat string cheese, it's pretty much just like string cheese. I'll put a couple of pieces into it. Whenever we close it, I'll grab the first end, the top end that has no cheese. Notice how I filled one side with cheese and the other side has no cheese in it. I'll then take it and fold it over the top of it like so. And so now I'll give it like a little bit of a press with my hand. You could use a tortilla press, but every time I do it, I just mess it up. So I did promise a method for all of you that don't have a tortilla press. So what we'll be using is a cutting board, and as long as you have a good surface like your table or your countertops, that works perfectly fine. I'll be taking my masa again for something that kind of like fits in my palm. Take the same piece of plastic that you had before. This is just essentially a Ziploc bag where I just cut the ends off and I kept the center of it connected. We'll take our cutting board, press down lightly, and if you're afraid that you're making it a little bit lopsided, give it a little bit of a roll. You can squish it out and stretch it just a little bit. Now we'll just rinse and repeat. So notice that my oven is at medium heat on the comal. I'll place it gently on here. And keep in mind that traditionally, again, I just want to say that these would usually be deep fried. I don't want to do that. I would rather make this a bit more of a heart-healthy meal. I can see that this one's done on this side, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip it. You can see like a little bit of a texture difference whenever we start to see that the empanadas start to finish on one side, so you can listen that the masa's done on one side. This is the part that's stuck to the comal. This part's always super good. Here you go. It's a little bit of stretchiness to it. Phenomenal, by the way. It's the cheese that makes the difference. For those of you that don't live close to an international store, or you couldn't find this cheese, feel free to use like pepper jack or mozzarella. And more importantly, if you didn't have a comal to cook on that, you can also use a non-stick pan. Alright guys, so our salsa's done. As you can see, we have a color change, a very distinct color change from the beginning of the tomatillos, where they were like a nice vibrant green, and now they're like a nice like olivey mellow green, and the jalapenos got boiled very thoroughly, which is very nice. Also, so what I like to do is take maybe like a quarter. I really like the flavor of onion, and this is just raw. Pour some salt into it. If you don't have a molcajete, perfectly fine. Take it to the blender. It'll come out perfectly fine as well. Mash it up, and these they have very little give to them. They completely fall apart. When it comes to the pepper, just use the same method you saw me using before. I like to do the pepper last so that in case any of the juices start jumping on me, I'm probably not going to get pepper in my eye. There's very few things that like bring back those nostalgic memories, but eating empanadas like this, there's a little bit of stretchiness to it. With fresh salsa and some beans, I always bring back those memories of like mom or grandma cooking in the kitchen. Mine is not as good as theirs though. Alright guys, so that's our recipe for learning to make some empanadas with queso, some frijoles, and some fresh salsa. So I hope you liked and enjoyed the video. Please subscribe for more. I appreciate you guys taking time out of the day to watch this video, and if you want more, just put something down in the comments section if you want to learn to make salsas, if you want to learn how to make anything else.